Garrett Blevins here with a kind of overview of the final 2 days of lifting for this week. First week had about 39,000 pounds of squat, 73,000 pressing, and 30,000 deadlifting for a total of a little over 140,000 pounds of barbell movements. Most of that, actually all of that, done with variations of the main movements, and all of that done with right around 50% of my 1 rep max for the competition movement with a belt. However, everything I did in this week was beltless and with variations, so probably the relative intensity was a little higher, probably closer to 60% for the alternate variations that I used. But pretty happy with that amount of volume, especially for the first week back. I don't know that I've ever had that much barbell volume. Now, I did include some of my assistance movements with bench press, such as JM presses, in that calculation, so that boosted up the bench press work a little bit. Though it is a pretty, the way that I do it, you'll see it here at the end of this video, it is definitely still a pressing movement, so I think it's okay to count that in there. These rack presses, stopping 4 inches off my chest, really taxed me on this day. I had to lower the weight to stay at the RPE by the end of the sets. And something about just coming to this dead stop and then relaxing instead of resting it on my chest, these are definitely harder than if I was doing a full rep, bringing the bar down to my chest, which it's odd that a reduced range of motion would be more difficult, but you see the struggle there to finish that rep. The reason that is there is because that's where my muscular weakness is, and coming to a full rest and losing the inertia, that's actually where my sticking point is, or where it starts at least. And so since the bar decelerates from that point on, to pause and then reverse the weight from that spot is much more taxing than doing a full range of motion where I could gain momentum off my chest. Really enjoyed getting into some of the lower rep ranges. By the end of the week, down into 6s. This is much more what I'm used to, and it was a lot more enjoyable. I was able to use substantially heavier weights. I believe I averaged 320 on my first squat day, and on the AMRAP I was only able to tie what I had done in previous sets. I was supposed to do 4 sets of 10 followed by an AMRAP, and I did 10 on the AMRAP. It was all I had. And that's just because I got so much weaker set to set as I was doing those. I'll have more information on my next second week, though I will say it went substantially better. However, this was the first day where I think I really started to catch my stride. Doing 12 with high bar squats here. This looks to be, I believe, 375 or 370 actually. I think those are 2.5s, but this moved a lot better. Feels really good to do some beltless work. Really enjoying the high bar right now. Kind of like an idiot, I forgot my heeled shoes, so I was doing this in flats. But in general, you know, this was a pretty good day, and I was really happy to get double and actually move this weight up. Whereas the first day, since I just tied my AMRAP for the working sets, it stayed the same. Did have a little bit of elbow pain from all the high bar squatting, but I've ordered a safety squat bar that I'm going to be including into some of my training just to get an even more different stimulus for some of these days, and so you'll see that here in the future, something I'm going to incorporate. Spoto 4-inch off the chest was a little bit easier, definitely easier than the rack presses. I don't know if that's because I just kept the tension through my body or not. I don't know for whatever reason, though. The Spoto's 4-inch off the chest really moved a lot better than the rack presses, which is going to tell me that maybe I should do some more rack pressing. Really stopping that momentum and then having to restart it is difficult for me. And the only time, though, I ever injured my pec was doing rack presses starting in the bottom position. Most of the time, you're going to start rack presses at the bottom. I've decided not to do that, only because I can kind of set it down in a weird spot sometimes, and if you get your start position wrong on rack presses, you can really strain your pecs. So by no means do you have to start at the top, unrack the weight, and bring it down, but it is an option. For rack presses, you're just going to want to pause the weight on the rack in between each of your reps. Block pulls, conventional, felt pretty good. I was able to use, I think, a whole nother plate than I did from the floor for sets of 10. So I did 315 the first day and did 405 here. And started to blow me up pretty good. This is the AMRAP here. I'm not putting in all my sets because if I did that, these videos would be like 20 minutes long. It's not taking me a super long time in the workout, but it is a lot of sets and reps, even though it's with submaximal weights. Definitely trying to accumulate volume in this phase and still getting used to those conventional pulls. I do want to get good at those, but I have some work to do. Now this is the modified JM press I was telling you about. As you can tell, it is not coming down over my face, but it is coming down about 4 inches higher on my chest than my normal close grip, and I am doing these as close grip JM presses. So that's kind of my modification. I'll show you more of that from some different angles as well. Now, adding on to that video that I put out last, where I talked about morality being singular, that it ought not to contradict itself and it ought to be universal, I'm going to throw the gauntlet down, metaphorically I suppose, but I'm going to present what I think to be the best iteration of morality and ethics that has ever existed. For those of you who know me at all, you know that that's going to be coming from a Christian perspective. And really, I want to present it as my opinion and my belief, but I'm very open to debate. But I'm definitely not open to debate that is slanderous or insulting or anything like that. So if you are interested in an exchange of ideas in the comments below, learning and improving yourself, that is what I am interested in engaging in. I definitely want to learn and understand more as well. I've not settled on my answers to where I'm not going to change. In fact, I find myself changing, growing, and learning often. I think that's the point of having a discussion, not just further entrenching ourselves in whatever beliefs we already had at the beginning. That kind of seems like a waste of time. Anyways, I'm not trying to blast anybody in particular. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. But wherever you're at, I hope you're doing well, and hope you stay tuned for future videos. Blessings.